Church hasn't taken this issue seriously in the past and done something about it, because it absolutely could.
Now, this is a pope who many are pinning their hopes on to promote change. And until recently, you were working on his Child Protection Commission. You were disappointed by your experience. Why?
Well, beyond disappointed. When I met the Pope in 2014, I really thought I thought he was taking this matter seriously. I thought something significant, fundamental was going to change, because, you know, abuse in the Catholic Church is a pandemic. It goes on everywhere. I've heard from mostly adults who were abused as kids, of course, from all over the world. And during the course of my brief period of time on that papal commission, absolutely nothing happened. And of course, I was ejected because I started to voice that opinion. So the Church doesn't like to air these issues. It doesn't like transparency. It protects its own. And as I say, it's the biggest organisation in the world. I would say that has more, I hate to use the word paedophile because they're not all paedophiles, but child abusers, more than any other organisation. It's an outrage, and it's got to stop.
We have, on the one hand, we have the Pope's Commission, and you were part of it. You were looking at this from the inside, dissatisfied with what you saw, and left it. So
it was a public relations exercise.
So what is it then? Why is the Church so resistant to the idea of arresting all these criminals within it and just cleaning out the stables, as it were, if I can mix my metaphors like that?
Mix your metaphors all you like. You need to get some of the cardinals or the archbishops sitting here and try and explain why they do this. I personally, you know, as a Christian, I don't understand it. These are supposed to be people of God, but the way they behave, clearly many of them, there are good priests and nuns around, let's not forget that. But the people at the top of the tree, the people who run this institution, are basically morally corrupt as far as I'm concerned.
So do you think, then, that they think they can just ride this out because barely a day goes by without there being another revelation of thousands more children having abused here, there and everywhere? Do you think they can just wait for this to pass?
That's what they're relying on, and that's what they've got away with for generations. But at long last, you and I are having a conversation about this. We've got this Congress in Berlin at the weekend. We're discussing this. 6 more states in the United States of America have announced that they are doing an investigation into the Catholic Church within their own states. This is, you know, we have the independent inquiry in the UK that is also looking at the Catholic Church. We've had the Royal Commission in Australia that has strongly condemned the Catholic Church, the church of my upbringing. Things are going to change.
Spokesperson Caroline Levitt responded to a question about Howard Lutnick today. She was asked simply if there has been any shift in how the White House is viewing Secretary Lutnick after the revelations of his ties to Epstein. Not a hard one. Here was the response.
No, Secretary Lutnick remains a very important member of President Trump's team, and the president fully supports the secretary.
He does? I mean, sometimes saying fully support is a death knell, but I don't think it sounded like that there. The Trump administration is trying to just sweep all of this under the rug.
So a lot of you are saying that Epstein was very well connected, and obviously he had many, many horrible things, horrible crimes that he committed. And so much of it was like made possible because he was a powerful person. He was connected with wealthy people. And people are bringing this up, that when you are someone who is part of the powerful people, they do have a history of getting away with certain things. Now, people are obviously defending the victims and they want to see change, and this is all a very good thing. And we need to be part of that and ask these questions of, okay, so if they see that being powerful and being wealthy will allow them to get away with these horrible crimes and commit child sex abuse, what are these other things that they feel would protect them? What is it that would allow these men to feel like, if I commit these crimes, what is something that I want to be connected to that will allow me to get away with it? And one of the things that is historically proven Many of these predators felt very comfortable going into jobs that had to do with clergy. They would join churches, they would become priests, they would become pastors. And this is something that they found that when they did that, not only were they less likely to be held accountable, but the other people around them would protect them. Some people who weren't committing the crimes, they were enabling and they were covering up for those clergymen. They were covering up for those priests. They would have this community. They would have this support system. The children did not have the support system. And we need to realize that this is not something that people are talking about. Why is it that so many predators felt comfortable going into the churches and joining these specific jobs? And we know that if you are a priest, you are less likely to be called out. You are less likely to be held accountable. I have been studying this for many, many years. I look at the way that people talked about Pope Francis specifically and how he would deal with these priests. It was not done well. It was done very poorly. People were very, very hesitant. Good luck finding anyone who asked the question, did Pope Francis handle child sex abuse well? Good luck finding anybody who asked that earnestly and honestly, because we need transparency, and you cannot protect children if you do not ask these questions. This is all part of the same thing. We have to ask these questions if we want to protect these children, and we have to see, why is it that they feel that they're so safe, these predators, joining clergy type jobs? And it's just, it baffles the mind that people are so willing to just turn the other way. Oh, we're not going to talk about that because that's a religious institution. Well, that's exactly why these predators join these places, and we have to protect children. That is the number one thing that we need always very much so to do.
Are left still waiting for an apology and real proof, they say, that the Vatican is going after child predators and those who cover for them.
It's crushing. It just is.
Disappointment and outrage tonight from church sex abuse survivors and their advocates after Pope Francis praised U.S. bishops today for their generous commitment to bring healing to the victims.
They would love to move on, but quite frankly, from where I'm coming from, their aftercare and their outreach is nowhere near where it should be.
Survivor Bernie McDade says the last people the Pope should be lauding are these bishops.
You know, every inch of the way we fought them and asked these men to step down, and they never did.